And welcome into In Depth with Fox Carolina Sports. Hey there, I'm Aaron Cheslock. And as we do every week, we're taking you through the path for local coaches and athletes as they've gotten to this point in their particular craft. And Cornell Powell, former Clemson wide receiver, joins us now. Quite the story he has. We're going to walk through it. But first of all, Cornell, how you doing? What's the last few months of your life been like since the Sugar Bowl?
I'm good. I'm doing great, man. The last few months since the Sugar Bowl has been fast paced. It's been unpredictable, but it's been fun at the same time. Just enjoying it with my friends, my family, and just taking it one day at a time, man. So it's been fun.
When you look at your entire collegiate career, you've been a
Mm,
part of a whole lot of wins.
Yeah.
Does that make going out on a loss that much tougher?
I mean, anytime you lose is tough, but definitely for your last game of your college career, it definitely made it so much, heavier on me. But at the end of the day, I know I accomplished a lot at Clemson. We won a lot. I grew a lot as a man, as a player. So I'm happy with the overall result.
We're going to touch on your story here for a minute, but you know when you when you look at where you were a year ago at this point, uh, spring practice is going on. A lot of people are wondering if you're going to be able to step into this role and star at Clemson. It almost seems comical to think about in hindsight, given that you're getting ready to go in the NFL draft. But have you been able to put this whirlwind of the past 365 into perspective yet?
It's been you know it's been nothing but God, man. Is what I dreamed about. It's what I knew I was capable of, and it's just something that I put my mind to at the beginning of the season. And whenever my opportunity was given, I just wanted to make the most of it, and just dominate every game, every moment. So that's what I try to do this past season.
And we're going to touch on a bunch of stuff throughout this interview, but I wanted to kind of start towards the beginning. And, you're a star in North Carolina in high school. I remember the first time I saw you was in 2015 at the Shrine Bowl.
Hmm.
I was covering that game at Wofford, and it was kind of like you versus Tavian Feaster, two Clemson
Yeah,
commits. And
yeah,
Cornell stole the show there. If I'm remembering correctly, he had a 99-yard kick return for a
yeah.
touchdown, something like over 250
All
all-purpose
purpose.
yards. Uh,
Mhm.
what do you remember about that game? And your first time, was it your first time playing in the Upstate? When was it kind of
That
like
was
foreshadowing?
Yeah, that was my first time playing in South Carolina ever. Had no reason to before, but that game, leading up to the game, the week, it was so crazy. Like practice was harder than like I expected. We were in like tour days and stuff. The food wasn't all that at the Shrine Bowl, but when game time came, we actually had new jerseys. They rolled out the jerseys and stuff, and it was just a fun experience. They did the whole introduction of every player, so it really made it feel like an all-star vibe. And then when once the ball was kicked off, it was just basics. It was just football at that point. So I just wanted to go out there and have fun, and uh, and leave my legacy in the Shrine Bowl.
You certainly made your mark on us local sportscasters, that's for sure. Coming out of high school, you're rated as a top five player out of North Carolina. I know that there are a bunch of programs after you. Why Clemson? I'm assuming at the time, Coach Jeff Scott and I'm sure Coach Sweeney had a hand in landing you as well.
It was just different. The opportunities that Clemson presented from other universities, as far as programs, as far as exposure, and as far as uh, how they, cared about their players and life after football and stuff. So it was just a no brainer in the decision. My mom loved it, and it was like I just fell in love with the place, the campus, And then you look into the football aspect, and you walk into a top two program every year. Being able to play on the biggest stages and stuff with national exposure, and it's just like, why wouldn't you want to go to Clemson?
You know, when you walk into the receivers room, Clemson at this point is starting to become known as wide receiver U, right?
It's been wide receiver U.
Well,
Been wide.
it's certainly your class certainly helped take it there.
Yeah.
The Nuke Hopkins and the Sammy Watkins had already left, but just to list some of the guys that you've played with: Hunter Renfro, Artavis Scott, Mike Williams, Ray McLeod, Deion Kane, T. Higgins, all guys with pro experience at this point. Mm-hmm. When you walk into a room in 2016 and you've always been, I'd assume, the best receiver out there on any football field you've ever been on, how tough is it to get noticed when you're among that kind of star power? And I'm assuming, on the other hand, you can also get some pointers from guys that do things a different way as well.
I feel like when you walk into a room like that, you have to have a certain amount of confidence in yourself, and you have to believe in your abilities as well. You can't be overwhelmed with who's in the room or who's beside you or who's doing what. So, and also, being in a room like that, that talented, that skillful, it's going to make you increase your skill level, increase your intensity every day. You have to prove yourself, and you're trying to beat out those guys, so to say, and really prove yourself. So it's beneficial, man. It's if you're a competitor like I am, you're gonna thrive off that and just get better each day and learn from those guys. Because at the end of the day, you're on the same team. So just trying to get better with them.
You have to pay your dues your first few years with Clemson without question. But in that time, part of two national championship teams. In 2016, Clemson wins it all, and then 2018, I believe you had to redshirt as an academic issue, and then they end up winning it. Then what was your mindset in 2018 as you're taking a red shirt and Clemson's out there winning a title?
Just get better. Don't let the year go to waste. Get better in every aspect of my life. And that was the year that I had my best academic year. Had a 3.2 GPA that year. Those 2 semesters. So just never taking it for granted. Never looking back and like I wasted a year. So that was the mindset.
Was there ever a point where you thought about leaving Clemson, or were you always determined, as soon as you got your shot, you'd capitalize on it?
I knew I was going to get my opportunity. I knew I was good enough to play on this stage, and I knew that I was made for this moment, and God brought me to Clemson for a reason. So I stayed, and it worked out for the best.
It's interesting when you look at the climate of college sports right now with the transfer portal and everything going on. You would have been the ideal candidate to go elsewhere. What kind of lesson do you think that sends to high profile athletes that maybe just haven't gotten their chance at a particular place, that, maybe you go somewhere and you make a name for yourself, but on the same token, if you stay with the coaches that know you and know what you can do, you just might get that opportunity and capitalize on it?
I can't speak for everyone. Every situation is different. Everybody's story is different, or why they left or why they stayed. So I can only speak on mine. I wanted to stay because, like I told you before, man, I knew I was capable to play on this level and play against the best of the best and be able to dominate. And so I didn't want to leave personally, but some guys leave, and it's like when people leave, you just leaving or staying, you just run the risk of things could be the same or things could be worse, and having a brand new coaching staff and a brand new place, sometimes it don't work out sometimes, but some people transfer and thrive and have an amazing year. Some people stay and it end up working out, like my situation. Some people stay and then nothing changes for them. So it's all about your personal decision, and whatever you decide, though, you got to be able to live with it for the rest of your life. So
it's interesting. Your story has so many facets to it, but I want to go back to a year ago at this point. You're already turning heads in spring practice. Coaches are already raving about you. This is the year that Cornell Powell is going to step into the spotlight, and then COVID hits, and the sports world stops. At that point, obviously, everyone's life is impacted, but knowing that this is your biggest chance to this point to make a name for yourself on a national level, what's going through your head? You don't know if there's going to be a season. I mean, I can only imagine the uncertainty, the anxiety that's going on with you when, the sports world stops.
Just was nervous, man. Praying that we actually got to play the season. Like you said, man, had a great spring, and I felt like I wanted to carry that momentum into fall camp and then eventually to the season. So, just very nervous in a way because I didn't want my career at in college to end like that on a COVID year. So I just kept grinding, and in hopes of that we will have a season, and it all worked out. It was God's plan, and we ended up having a season, and I ended up having a great year. So.
Okay. Can you put into perspective for us now that you've lived through it, the things that maybe we don't think about from the outside looking at on a program when you're playing in the COVID era? It was a different, you played football your entire life. That's a different experience than you or any of your teammates have ever gone through. You guys go to Florida State, you don't have a game, right? So everything is different. Just the amount of testing, the hurdles you got to go through. I talked to one of your former teammates, Amari Rogers, who was on the show a couple weeks ago, and it's like, you're doing things that you had not signed up for just to be able to play football on Saturdays. Now that you've been through it, now that hindsight's 2020, can you put it into perspective? I'm sure it's a story you'll be telling for years.
It comes with a great deal of sacrifice. You got to be determined. You got to be destined, and just have a great work ethic and a positive mindset, because you never know what's going to happen each week. Like you said, we went all the way down to Florida State. It was a 12 o'clock noon game, and at 9:30 or so, they text us and tell us that, get back on the bus, we're going back to Clemson. And so you just got to, and also make the most of every opportunity that you get. You never know how many games we was going to have this season. We were scheduled for 10, but we really could have had one. So it was no fans. You got to create your own motivation, your own energy each and every week. So it was definitely tough, man. It was definitely tough. So people on the outside looking in, like guys opting out and stuff like that. Obviously people want their fans want players or their teams to play, but it's so much that you have to deal with. You have to be strong-minded, and some people was affected very differently from COVID, family-wise and stuff. So you got to take all that into account, and you just got to make the most of it, man. So it was definitely tough.
I also think, it doesn't get stated enough that, and we're going to get into the 2020 season here in a second, but, spring practice gets cut short. You're already starting to make a name for yourself. You don't get the spring game to show what you can do. And then you don't get summer workouts for the most part. They start late and they roll right into fall camp. And again, everything's uncertain. You're finding out your schedule, a couple months before you're getting set to play it. So I think that makes what you did in 2020 even more impactful. All that hard work certainly pays off, but it's a slow start. 2 receptions, 15 yards at Wake Forest, 2 catches, 25 yards against Citadel, 2 for 5 yards against Virginia, 2 for 12 yards against Miami. You start to get hot right after that with 4 catches, 50 yards and a touchdown against Georgia Tech, then 45 yards and a touchdown against Syracuse. At that point, did you realize that you were about to explode on the national stage?
Oh, I knew that I was due for a big game soon. From the spring workouts, even through the workouts that we had to do on our own due to COVID, and then fall camp, which I dominated all 3 of those phases. And in the season, you just gotta be patient, man. We have so much talent on Clemson, top to bottom. So whenever the ball comes your way, you just gotta make a play. You gotta get in the box every time. So that Boston College game, man, it was a breakout game, and I knew that I was capable of that. So that week in practice, we threw a little extra before practice, threw a little extra after practice, about 3 times that week, and then me and DJ just, we're cool off the field and stuff. I mean, I'm cool with Trevor too, but you know what I'm saying. DJ's cool with me. He was a freshman, and then the game came, and it just came down to it, and I just became, like, throughout that game, like, catch after catch just became a safety blanket for him. And that week sparked off. And then after it was just like it was just more of the same and just killed it. And so from then on, Trevor came back after that, and it just kept rolling.
So let's talk about this 3-game stretch here because it's one of the greatest in the history of Clemson football. And as I mentioned, wide receiver U, it's known as, but if you have ever done it better than this, Boston College, 11 catches for 105 yards. Notre Dame the week after, again, both of those are DJ Uiagalelei starts, 6 catches for 160 yards. And then Pitt, 6 catches for 176 yards. You're setting career highs in back-to-back weeks. Just to give folks an idea of the kind of company that puts Cornell Powell in. Only the 5th receiver in program history to have 3 straight 100 yards receiving. Only the 3rd to post back-to-back 150-yard receiving games. The only other 2 guys to do that were Sammy Watkins and Nuke Hopkins. You have 90 yards and a touchdown against Virginia Tech. You're already established at that point. And then the Sugar Bowl, a game high, 139 yards and 2 touchdowns. Obviously, that game did not end the way you guys wanted. But when you put that kind of tape together in the second half of the season, from an individual standpoint, you got to be thrilled with the way you ended off your Clemson career.
Absolutely, man. It was a lot of hard work, a long grind, man. 5 years worth of behind the scenes work that finally the world got to see, and I feel like I have so much more to show, so much more to prove to myself, and I'm just excited for this next opportunity in the NFL and ready to go.
When you go into something like Pro Day and you have already shown what you can do on tape through the second half of the season, what were the biggest things that you wanted to prove to NFL coaches and scouts when they could see you firsthand?
That this wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a one-hit wonder. That I can really transition it into the NFL with size, speed, versatility, being able to play inside and outside, having great hands, route running ability. Like I have the full package. So just wanted to show them that.
Do you have a favorite team growing up?
I'm from North Carolina, so I grew up a Panthers fan.
What you're from North Carolina, but this is a weird situation where you have no idea where you're going to land. So that goes along with franchises, but it also goes with where you're going to live. Is there an area of the country you want to go to, or is there an area maybe you'd want to avoid?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where I go, man. I just it's gonna be grateful for the opportunity. Being in the NFL, playing with the best of the best. It's been a lifetime dream to do that. So it really doesn't even matter.
When you go through Pro Day, there's a lot of folks taking notice of Cornell Powell. You know, obviously the measurements were off the charts. You performed well in the skills portion, but then, that photo goes viral of you with your shirt off, and they're saying Cornell Powell hasn't had a carb in however long. What were your thoughts about that photo going viral? And
I just hope that it helps me know, but it's just a testament that of the hard work, the training that I put in. It worked. It was helpful, and it helped me transition and not transition, but transform my body to peak at Pro Day, and it was a great day for me. So,
what were you eating leading up to that week?
And I was on a meal plan, so like grilled chicken, rice, noodles, vegetables, and water.
Yeah, because that if there was a picture of me with my shirt off, that might go viral too, but for the complete opposite reason. So I give you an idea of the different diet plans that we're on right there. What are some of the things that maybe folks don't know about Cornell Powell? One of my favorite memories is, before bowl games, I always try to do these stories with players that maybe they don't get to see. And the last few years, pre-COVID, I managed to grab you and Jordan Williams to go around and interview guys with our microphone. Yeah. If I'm remembering correctly, it's who was the ugliest baby, and which player would you'd want your kids to marry. It's like, I did zero work for those. you and
Yeah.
Jordan were hysterical every time you had it. I just let you guys go. So I'd say you're sneaky funny. But what are some of the things that folks don't know about Cornell Powell?
I'm just a down to earth guy. I love to have a good time. Uh, just fun, man. Just fun. But I'm a hard worker, a grinder, and love the game of football. So there's not really much to me, man. I'm really simple. So yeah.
What are the conversations? What have they been like with NFL teams so far in the process? We're just days away from the draft getting here. I'm sure the anxiety is starting to ramp up a little bit, but what are the conversations like?
Just trying to get to know me, trying to get to know my character, see if I can fit their organization, and see if it's ways that I can help their team, and just like from special teams to wide receiver position. So just seeing if I'm gonna be a good fit, man. Just trying to see who I am as a person. So
When you have you had a conversation where it maybe went off the rails a little bit? I hear these stories about NFL teams asking some crazy questions at draft prospects. Would you rather be, a cat or a dog, something like that, just to kind of get into your psyche a little bit. Have you had that one? You don't have to say a team name or, which official it was, but you just kind of scratch your head like, what? They do that?
I haven't had any question like that. No, I haven't. But I mean, they ask questions just to get a reaction, just to see like what kind of how you gonna respond to it. So
When you talk to these teams, obviously they know the player they're getting on the field. What do you tell them that they're getting with Cornell Powell as the guy off the field?
just someone who's accountable, someone who's a leader, someone who's gonna hold other people accountable, and never take for granted the moment. This is gonna uphold the standard of the organization. Being at Clemson, we live by a standard. You want to be a better human being than you are an athlete or a player. So just gonna uphold that.
When you think about your time at Clemson, there's a lot that goes with that. Part of 5 ACC championships, 3 appearances in the national championship, 2 national championships. Part of a dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
You have had gigantic wins. You've also proven that you guys can bounce back from big losses. You performed at the highest level on the biggest stages. How much of a leg up do you think that gives you on a lot of other receivers in this draft class, that you've been under the spotlight, you've performed at that time? So while the NFL is certainly a different kind of game,
Yeah.
You at the highest level of the level you could have, you've excelled.
It just shows that I'm capable of playing with the best of the best, and I've been there before. So being in the NFL is not gonna the moment's not gonna get too big for me. And I know how to win. I know how to. I know what it takes to win. So I'm gonna go in there with a good, strong mindset, and willing to do anything it's gonna take to win. So.
What do you want your Clemson legacy to be? You're a guy that stuck it out through thick and thin, and when you got your chance at the dish, you knocked it out of the park.
Just that I wasn't a quitter, man. I was a grinder, a team guy, a team first guy, but at the same time that I was a dog, man. When 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 it was my turn, I showed out, and that I left it all on the field every game. So,
what are you going to say when you're watching the NFL draft and it starts getting going and the names start getting called and you're just staring at your cell phone? You don't know when it's going to come. Is there someone that you've talked to or a message that you've gotten that's going to kind of help keep you centered in that moment?
I mean, I know just it's all on God's timing. He's gonna put me on the perfect team. He's gonna put me in the right place, and I'm not really stressing it. I'm excited, man. It's like understand. It's just been a lifetime dream of mine, and to be able to live it out, whether I go first round or 7th round or undrafted. I just want an opportunity, man. I just want a shot to be in the NFL, and I feel like this is my moment, and I'm gonna be ready for it.
When teams are looking at Cornell Powell, you've shown that you can do a lot of different things at a high level and at different phases of your career. Special teams, receiving, inside, outside, deep routes. middle of the field. We've seen it all on tape. But what do you think the number one attribute that you bring to an NFL team is that you can really capitalize on?
Everything that you just said, man. My versatility, being able to play every position at wide receiver, and then being able to play special teams as well. And that alone is like amazing. Some guys in college, they don't even play special teams because they're their star receiver. But me, I started at receiver all 13 games and started on special teams all 13 games as well. So, it just shows, my unselfishness and my ability to help the team out in every aspect. So,
is there a guy that you've modeled your game after in the NFL? And on the same token, is there a guy on defense that you've kind of been chomping at the bit to face that you might get a chance to line up against?
I try to take a lot from everyone in the NFL, man. A lot of the guys who's like killing the game, just trying to see what they're doing, seeing how they're manipulating the defense, just seeing how, they approach the play, whether it's run or pass. And then on defense, man, I want to play against all the best of the best. It's like, me being a competitor, I want to be able to play against the best of the best. So being in the NFL, I know I'm going to do that week in and week out.
Number one thing you're going to miss about your time at Clemson? Obviously, you've got favorite memories. I'm sure your national championship rings are a couple of those, but the things that, maybe we don't think about that you're going to miss the most.
Man, just the locker room, man. Just hanging out in the locker room, kicking it with the guys, laughing, joking. It's fun, man. So just definitely gonna miss those moments.
Cornell Powell getting set for the NFL draft here, just days away. We appreciate you taking some time to join us here. Certainly wish you the best of luck, and you've certainly shown that you can thrive in pretty much any situation. I think it's a pretty incredible story that you've put together. And again, when you got your opportunity, you didn't miss, and all of it pays off after that. Who knows where you're going to end up, but I'm confident that you're able to adapt to any situation you get put in. So again, thank you so much for joining us here.
Appreciate it, Aaron. Thanks for having me, man.
Cornell Powell, former Clemson wide receiver, set to be an NFL, possibly all-pro down the line. Who knows? He's proven that he can do it all in a short span of time. That's going to wrap it up for this week on In Depth with Fox Carolina Sports. We'll make sure to follow Cornell's path through the draft and, of course, his pro career. Another great guest coming up for you next week. Have a great night.